and January air doesn't usually feel alive. But on this morning it hunts. It slips under collars, crawls into gloves, and finds bare skin with surgical precision. And before a single player takes the field, before the crowd settles into the concrete bowl, the cold has already claimed territory. It has seized metal, stiffened leather, and turned breath into something visible and fragile. Lambeau Field is standing still, not because it's quiet, but because everything has frozen in place, and the stadium looks solid. It feels permanent, but it is lying. The men arrive early, wrapped in layers that feel insufficient the moment they step outside, and each exhale burns, each inhale cuts deeper. The sky is pale and empty, the kind of colorless gray that suggests the sun has given up trying. Inside the tunnels, and trainers rub hands together, not to warm up, but to convince themselves they still work. A football hits the ground and doesn't bounce. It thuds, dull and lifeless, and as if the air itself has thickened. Down on the field, cleats scrape ice where grass should be. The surface glistens, smooth in places, cracked in others, and a frozen skin stretched tight over unforgiving ground. It looks playable from a distance. Up close, it feels like a trap, and one misstep is enough to send a grown man skidding like a dropped coin across a kitchen floor. Every movement has to be relearned. Speed is useless. Balance is everything, and the crowd arrives anyway. 50,000 shapes bundled into coats and scarves, faces wrapped until only eyes remain. They stomp their feet in place, not for excitement, but for circulation. Cardboard appears under boots, scavenged from boxes and signs, anything to break the concrete's grip, and parents wrap children in blankets and tell them stories about toughness, about history, about how this is something you'll remember forever. They don't say why, and they don't say that memory is sometimes the only thing you get to take home. Somewhere in the lower bowl, and a vendor watches steam rise off cups of coffee and disappear too fast. The liquid inside starts to cloud, slush forming before it can be passed across the counter, and beer foams then stiffens. The idea of refreshment becomes abstract. Everything is transactional now. Warmth traded for time traded for survival. On the sidelines, and the players pace like caged animals, not from nerves, but from fear of standing still. Fingers ache, then go numb, then ache again, and pain cycles into absence and back into pain sharper each time. Hands crack, skin splits, blood appears and freezes before it can smear. Helmets feel heavier, and pads feel stiffer. Bodies that are trained for violence are now being slowly dismantled by temperature. There is a moment, just before kickoff, when the sound seems wrong, and the usual roar is muted as if swallowed by the air. Voices don't travel the same way. Instructions have to be repeated, shouted, screamed. Sound doesn't carry, and it dies early, falling to the ice like everything else. Even the officials hesitate, realizing that the tools they rely on, metal, breath, precision, are liabilities now, and nothing behaves the way it's supposed to. When the game begins, it doesn't flow, it stutters. Plays unfold in fragments, movements shortened, instincts restrained, and tackles land with a flat, brutal finality, bodies slamming against something closer to stone than soil. Every hit rattles teeth, every fall steals heat, and getting back up takes longer than it should. Staying down is tempting. Dangerous, but tempting. The home team adapts first. They don't fight the surface, and they negotiate with it. Short steps, lower hips, less flash. The visitors struggle, learning in real time what cold like this does to muscle memory. Rotes drift, and cuts slide. Timing fractures. Talent matters less when fingers won't close and legs don't trust the ground beneath them. On the sideline, leadership looks different today, and there are no speeches about glory. No promises about legacy. Everything is reduced to commands. Focus. Hold on. Keep moving. And coaches pull hands out of pockets to gesture and immediately shove them back in, grimacing as the cold bites exposed skin. Breath fogs faces. Eyelashes crust with ice. And as the sun sinks lower, the temperature follows it down, dragging the game with it. Shadows stretch across the field, darkening the ice, hiding the worst patches. And the cold sharpens. Wind finds new angles. What was unbearable becomes something worse. Fans stop cheering. They huddle. Sound gives way to vibration, and a low hum of shivering bodies press together, generating heat the only way they can. On the field, fatigue sets in differently. Not lungs, not legs, nerves, and signals misfire. Hands feel disconnected. A player reaches for the ball and isn't sure if he's caught it until he looks down, and another tries to stand and doesn't realize he's bleeding until someone points. Pain has lost its urgency. That's when it's most dangerous. By halftime, and the game is no longer about scoreboards, it's about thresholds. How long can skin stay exposed? How long before numbness turns into damage? And how long before decision-making slows just enough to invite disaster? Somewhere in the stands, someone stops moving. Somewhere else, and a medic fights the cold with bare hands and urgency. The second half looms. The worst of the day hasn't arrived yet. The cold deepens as if it has been waiting, and as if the first half was only an introduction. What little warmth the field absorbed during daylight is gone now, leached away into the darkening sky. The ice tightens, and cleats lose their bite. Every step becomes a negotiation with gravity and fate. The air feels heavier, harder to pull into the lungs, and each breath scrapes on the way in and stings on the way out. On the sideline, players sit shoulder to shoulder, not talking, not laughing, and just absorbing what little heat they can steal from each other. Hands are tucked into armpits, into waistbands, anywhere flesh can meet flesh. Trainers move down the line, and checking ears, fingers, noses. Pale patches are rubbed until they scream back to life or stay stubbornly white. Both outcomes are bad. The game tightens, and not because the strategy improves, but because mistakes become fatal. A slip here, a dropped ball there. Momentum swings not on brilliance, but on who manages to stay upright. The visitors find something in themselves, a rhythm born of desperation. A broken play turns into points. The score shifts, and the crowd notices, but their reaction is delayed, dulled by exhaustion. Cheering requires energy they can no longer spare. Somewhere high in the stands, and eyelashes freeze together. Blinking becomes painful, seeing becomes optional, and people turn their backs to the wind and miss entire drives just trying to keep their faces intact. Time stretches. Minutes feel like quarters, and every stoppage is both a relief and a threat. Standing still means freezing. Moving means slipping. There is no safe choice. On the field, and bodies collide and stay down an extra second. Not because they're injured, but because getting up is work. Helmets knock together with hollow, brittle sounds, and there is no give left in anything. Not the turf, not the pads, not the men wearing them. When someone finally rises, there is steam where blood should be, and breath billowing in frantic bursts. Late in the game, the light is gone entirely. The field exists under artificial glare now, shadows sharp and treacherous, and the temperature has fallen to a number that no longer feels real. Numbers stopped meaning anything an hour ago. All that matters is sensation, or the lack of it, and fingers feel like someone else's. Feet feel imaginary. Pain arrives late and stays forever. Then it comes down to one drive. One last stretch of frozen ground. And the offense gathers, breathless, hunched, eyes stinging, minds narrowed to the simplest possible objective. Forward, not far, just enough. And the quarterback flexes his hands and isn't sure if they respond. He stamps his feet and hopes friction still exists. And he looks at the distance left and understands that this is the end, one way or another. The ball is snapped. It doesn't spiral cleanly. Nothing does anymore, and the line surges forward in short, violent bursts, cleats scraping, bodies colliding in a frozen knot. There is no elegance, no arc, no open field. Just pressure, and just inches. Somewhere inside the pile, a man leans forward, trusting that physics will obey one last time. For a heartbeat, nothing moves. Sound disappears entirely, and the world narrows to breath and strain and the taste of metal in the air. And then, slowly, impossibly, the mass shifts. Just enough. Arms rise, and a signal cuts through the dark. It's over. There is no celebration in the usual sense. No dancing. No posing. Relief crashes over the field like warmth that isn't there, and players turn and run, not toward each other but toward shelter, toward walls, toward heaters, toward anything that might restore feeling. And hands reach for helmets and fumble with straps that won't cooperate. Legs stumble. Pride is irrelevant now. Survival is the only victory that matters, and inside the locker rooms the air is thick with steam and sharp smells. Liniment, wet wool, fear finally releasing its grip. Uniforms hit the floor, stiff and half frozen, and skin is revealed in patches of red, purple, white. Some men laugh too hard, others don't speak at all. Teeth chatter uncontrollably, cups shake in trembling hands, and water spills because coordination hasn't caught up yet. The pain comes later, it always does. Fingers burn, toes scream, ears throb, and someone peels back tape and skin comes with it. No one looks for long. They already know what they'll find. Outside, the crowd empties fast, not lingering, not reminiscing, and they move as a unit, driven by instinct. Cars cough and sputter. Heaters strain and fail. Stories start immediately, shouted through scarves and cracked lips, and because telling them helps distract from the cold still lodged in bone. By morning, the field will look ordinary again. Scarred but quiet. The ice will soften, and the world will pretend this was just a game. But it wasn't. It was a line. A day when preparation met something it could now think, and when technology bent and bodies followed. When thousands of people agreed, silently, that enduring together was worth the cost. Years from now, they'll call it legendary, and they'll polish it, frame it, turn it into a symbol. But the truth lies somewhere colder, in the memory of air that hurt to breathe, and in the feel of ice where grass should be. In the knowledge that, for a few brutal hours, the game stopped being entertainment and became something older and more honest. And it was never about winning. It was about not giving in. And that's why it's remembered.